Welcome aboard, beautiful tribe, and welcome back to the Love Shack and Tuesday's Teatime Predictions Update. August is here, friends. Can you believe it's here already? And the intense energy, it just continues to become more and more intense as we see the Earth now awakening like never before. Just as Spirit has been warning going back several years ago, now that time has arrived, friends. She is awake. First, we saw the massive quake that hit Russia. As predicted, I warned that there's more coming to Russia, followed by the tsunamis, small tsunamis, tsunami warnings. Then I warned that quake wasn't done, friends. That quake was not done, and it wasn't because there was another one that rung out about the size of a 6. First they said 7.0, but they downgraded it to a 6.8. There's more to come, bigger than a 7.0 or 7.0 or higher. And to make matters even more concerning, you'll recall my prediction, perhaps, when I said that dormant volcanoes would come alive again, giants would awaken once again, along with 2 major volcanic blasts that I saw in the past as a sign of a much larger event, a much larger incoming Earth event. Well, friends, you know by now that at that same location in Russia, they had, where the earthquake was, massive volcanic eruption. Make it even more concerning, it's the first time it's erupted since the year 1550 approximately. It's almost 500 years later since that last eruption. That is indeed an awakening giant. And there were a few other massive eruptions over the weekend. Big one in Indonesia. A sure sign, again, that a bigger event is on our doorsteps. And we're going to discuss that today, along with the small earthquake. I said to my friends on the East Coast, you're going to get some small ones between New York and New Jersey. And they got one right in northern New Jersey that was felt in parts of New York City. So things, they're certainly heating up. And speaking of heating up, even more explosive heat between Presidents Trump and President Putin, with these disturbing threats of nuclear submarines being sent over to Russia, warnings from Trump about, having other weapon technology that you would never believe possible. Did you see that little clip of him? We believe it. We believe it. We know about some of them. And I told you all that we would see technology and weapons that we were never aware of. So is this a sign of something much more intense coming between the United States and Russia? We're going to have to address that today, of course. Now, I warned Chile of many things, including collapses revolved around their mining, which became a reality, apparently, according to someone in the comments. It was a partial collapse, so luckily just a partial, of a copper mine in Chile. Again, a sure sign that things are heating up, not only above ground, but below our feet. Remember, Spirit pointed to things below the ground, things beneath the earth. Now, did you also see that the Fed governor, of the Fed, Adriana Kugler is her name, announced that she's going to be resigning? Remember, I talked about how many resignations we were going to be seeing, but hers is really interesting. Mainly because of the date that she chose that she's going to resign on. And she's, in the Fed, the whole banking cartel. She chose the date August 8th to resign, the Lionsgate portal mid-date. I don't believe in coincidences. And they're aware, you're also aware all the billionaires and CEOs and former CEOs that actually perished so far this year. You're probably not hearing about it. Staggering how many there are. And Spirit told us that leaders and globalists would begin to drop, either from power or drop completely. So is this what Spirit warned us of? We're going to talk about that list today. It's quite a list, and a lot you're not aware of. I also talked about skyrocketing fuel prices. In Angola, riots broke out after a 34 or 35% increase in their fuel prices. This is a sign for the rest of us, friends, for sure. And how about that gentleman that created a distillery that runs on plastic, turns plastic into gasoline? Amazing inventions Spirit spoke about, friends. So others are to come, and we're going to talk about some of that today. Another important thing, water is life, as you know. Water is life, and I warned our friends in Puerto Rico that they would have all kinds of issues with their power and with their water and everything else. And right now in Puerto Rico, they declared an emergency and called out National Guard. We're going to discuss that. The Pow Pow event that took place at a music festival, also in my predictions. A direct message from Mother Earth that you are going to want to hear because it makes so much more sense now from years ago. That and so much more today, friends, to help you feed that there prediction addiction. So get that tea kettle brewing, friends, because y'all know it's Tittle tea time, baby. Beautiful tribe, I hope you had a great week and a great weekend and that you are flowing through this energy shift with ease and joy. Because we still continue to get pounded with these incoming energies and shifts of consciousness. Now it's also very obvious that Mother Earth is also shifting ever so greatly. Boy, oh boy, she is. And we're just less than a week from exiting Mercury's stillness in the skies. Finally, friends, finally stepping out of this energy shift, and it's been quite an intense Mercury retrograde, to say the least. And we discussed how this was going to bring out the truth. And sadly, along with that, bringing out people's cray-cray. Some people, more than usual, of course. Now, we step out of this intense energy shift on August 11th. But I do feel like August 11th itself, I feel like that's going to be a really intense day energetically. So I feel August 11th, really intense. Perhaps having this whole entire retrograde energy shift aspect going out with a bang on August 11th. Although we still have to swim out of the post-shadow now. There is a post-shadow of Mercury retrograde, and that doesn't conclude this very long cycle until the 25th of August. So still a little time. But things will lighten up by the time we get to the 12th. Now, just a heads up, the next cycle begins in the pre-shadow on October 21st. Heads up. If you're planning travel. And if we go directly into that intense cycle, practically the entire month of November, from November 9th till November 28th. And then that post-shadow is going to take us into December 17th. So again, plan travel ahead and don't travel in that window of the 9th to the 28th. And if you do, expect delays. And that's a big travel time in November, big travel time. So we will have a little breathing time in between to regather our thoughts and our goals. Keep in mind, though, I've noticed over the years that as we begin to come out of these and step into the post-shadow, it seems that it always brings out heightened energy when it comes to illness, doctors, and then hospitals and doctors get very overwhelmed. And I believe this is likely connected to the emotions that come up during these energy shifts. And some folks are just resistant to doing the work, especially when it comes to working through those emotions. So universe gives us a certain amount of time to do the work that we're meant to do. And if we don't do that work, if we resist, then universe sends in the cleaning crew, and that's never fun. And we'll likely see some sort of outbreak or serious concerns around something such as, say, the flu, the bird flu. I was just reading this article, actually. About, what's it called? Oh, the flesh-eating disease. I meant to put that in today's show, but I might as well just mention it here now that I just thought of it. Louisiana, there were supposedly several reported passings due to the flesh-eating bacteria and 72 people with it and something like that. That's pretty concerning. And I bet you it's all connected to the waters. Remember what we said about bacteria and things in the waters? So outbreaks are definitely a thing right now. Definitely. And wait till we get in September even more so when we're in that double 9 vibration. Intense times. But it will get a little lighter, I do promise. Just a little bit, for a little while. Now, 2025 is an intense year, though. Now, in 2020, that national emergency that was called, during national emergency, the big, 2020 bug, that actually was called a national pandemic during a retrograde cycle as we were coming out of it, actually. And I think it was sometime in March of 2020. So soon after, we all know what happened in 2020, soon after that energy shift. And then people got sick, hospitals got full, and things happen. So I tell you, friends, be very mindful, not just of your health, but of your emotions. Flow through these emotions and channel them into something really positive. Perhaps do some journaling. That's a really good idea. Journal around your emotions. It will really have an amazing positive impact. Say you have emotions connected to somebody or a relationship. Sit down, write them all out. Write them a letter. Doesn't mean you have to give them the letter. Hold on to that letter for a little while. You might decide not to in another week and a half. But write the letter. Pour out all your emotions. Heart, body, mind, and spirit. Put it in an envelope and hold on to it. After this retrograde, if you decide to hand it over, then hand it over to whoever needs to read it. But you might find that you might not want anybody to read it. It's very powerful. They actually use that in psychology. Now, coming up, we have two very, very impactful transits to welcome in. We have August 6th. We have Mars entering Libra. And this is when you should really start to experience a little more drive. You know, this strong desire to finally take some action, whatever that action may be. And to take action in a different way, to approach things at a different angle. It's a really good time for all that. Remember the balance of the whole scales of Libra. Now, instead of just pushing through obstacles head on, instead, just take a little pause. Take a little pause. Look at things from both angles, both directions, before going head on with these things. You'll be glad you took a little time to do that. Now, this is also where you may have this desire, perhaps to resolve some conflicts peacefully. Hopefully, we will witness this on the global stage as well, with the conflicts and how they're going right now. And you're also going to begin to see this increased awareness when it comes to your relationship imbalances, what no longer, serves your higher purpose. You may also have this sudden drive to maybe beautify your environment, redo your bedroom, your home, your office, create a sacred space, things like that. All coming in just another day. It's today. I'm recording this on Monday the 4th. It's the evening time here in Sedona, Arizona. And it's hot in here, and I'm going to go put that air on in a minute. Now, things are really going to get intense, likely helping this Mercury retrograde to go out with a big bang on August 9th. And that's when we have the full moon in Aquarius. And this is going to be a very energetic full moon. Very energetic, and it's a sign of basically revolution, friends. Revolution, individuality, and this higher mindset. This is when your dreams are going to get wildly clear. Your dreams at night when you're sleeping. Perhaps prophetic dreams. And I would tell you also to expect the energy from the 7th until the 11th of August. That window of time I mentioned in my August forecast, that's a time I feel will be really intense. Especially with your intuition, again, dreams, heightened dreams. Some people may experience them as nightmares. And if you get nightmares, you need to get yourself a little dream catcher and, do that in ceremony and tell it what to do and hang it above your bed. They really do work if you do it right. Now, this is also a great time when we get to that full moon on the 9th, to detach from any unhealthy or unhappy relationships, friendships, perhaps even your job or the community that you once felt, connected to and no longer feel connected to. You may also begin to find a lot of clarity when it comes to discovering who your real true soul tribe is and pulling all that together for yourself and to serve your highest good and your highest frequency too, of course. Now, a little forewarning though, friends. This full moon is going to bring in some heightened anxiety and a little bit of overthinking. So watch overthinking things. And if you're experiencing anxiety, get outside and connect with Mother Nature. Go for a swim in the creek or some natural water source. Now, this is not a full moon that's literally fluffy and soft like some full moons. No, this is a full moon that's going to be filled with clarity. So think about, say, truth bombs. Receiving future downloads, especially in this Lion's portal that we're in right now. And some wake-up calls that can help you to step into your highest vision, whatever that vision may be. This would also be a really great time on the full moon to do some meditation. Meditation that I did a while back called Calling Your Power Back. I try to remember to put a link up above or a link down below, and if I don't remember when we're live in the premiere in the chat room, not in the comments, in the chat room, let me know and I'll put a link in. I try to remember, perfect time to call your power back, friends. Perfect time. I do it a couple days before the full moon. I'd start on the 7th and do it for at least 4 or 5 days in a row. It's a short meditation, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and that's what you got to do. You got to remember, a lot of your power has been taken away or drained from you. And a lot of you have just given your power away. Here, give your power away. Give it away. Now's the time to call that power back. Full moon, baby. And that's a few days away. It's not that far away. Now, this full moon, as I said, is going to help feed this cycle into going out with a big bang energetically, and maybe even literally on the global stage. So expect there to be this huge uprising when it comes to people in many countries. Protests on human rights, people getting angry about censorship, and this heightening of other types of protests like those that we have been seeing in Ireland, the United Kingdom, and even Israel, even though they don't tell us about those ones because they don't want us to know. And we see what happened in Angola. And then I also get France that pops out pretty strongly to me, and then also here in the United States. So this energy can really, really feed into turning positive, peaceful protests into not so positive. So don't feed into that chaotic energy because it's going to be stirring around that full moon. And again, that whole window, the 7th, maybe even to the 14th, that whole 1 week cycle, the 7th to the 14th. Now, I would also tell you that a whole lot more revelations are going to come. A whole lot. A whole lot more revelations, a whole lot more truths around governments, NGOs, social media platforms, and even announcements around exciting UFOs, space travel, extraterrestrial life, all of that good stuff. Now, when August 11th arrives, this would be a good time to focus on launching, and I would even say wait till the 12th. To launch a new project. Say you were wanting to start something new and you haven't had time and you don't really want to start things new when we're in them energy shifts that we're in. Wait until after. So I'd say on the 12th. And you could do it on the 11th, but even the 12th feels a little safer to me to launch a new project. Maybe start writing a new book, launch a new brand, contact, content of some sort, music or what have you. But that's the perfect time to get things started. Because we're coming out of that energy on the 11th, coming out of it completely. Now, I feel also that we are going to see more extreme heightened activity when it comes to the sun. And I believe that will also be during that window of time, the 7th through the 11th, or the 7th through the 14th. Another date to really especially look close at is the 8th, because that is the midpoint of the Lionsgate portal. And I would expect a very potent sun flare or multiple sun flares to be unleashed and likely reaching that energy, reaching the earth in that window of time, somewhere between the 7th and the 11th. And this is likely going to bring an increased northern light activity, of course. And we'll likely see lights in places, unexpected places, like we did here last year in Sedona. Sky was red, especially if you took pictures of it. Amazing. Also remember, on August 8th, we hit that half point again of the Lionsgate activation. This is a very powerful time for light code activation, friends. But you really are not going to fully benefit from this and from these light codes and conscious ascension in consciousness, if you don't do some work around it. And it's simple work. All you got to do is meditate, absorb the energies. Now, I did a meditation. It's available on my Subscribe Star for those members. It's available for the members that are monthly supporters on YouTube. And it will be available on Wednesday the 6th for everybody on YouTube platform. Please check that meditation out and do it. You can do it anytime. But definitely you want to benefit the most. The 8th, of course, is going to be a great day to do it. I'll be doing it on the 8th, no doubt about it. And you can do it multiple times. Really important to absorb those lights, though. They're not going to do much if you're not conscious of them coming in. They'll help, but not to the fullest extent. Now, the other warning I have is the same that I have warned in my earthquake video that I posted on Friday. We are going to see another major earthquake in the next week or so. And I'm going to go back to that window of time, August 7th through the 11th. Maybe you're right on the 9th itself, right in between. And then the 11th. Now, remember them 11 days? I tell you about the 11 days all the time, right, friends? The 11th and the 29th of a month, big events happen. And they look at JFK, that was 11/22, just saying. But we had Katrina, hurricane that came in on the 11th day. She came in on the 29th. Hurricane Sandy came in on the 29th. We have 9/11. So big things happen on those days. And that big earthquake that happened in Russia that set off all this activity now, that happened on the 29th, an 11 day. So just a reminder to watch those days closely. Boy, it is getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. So, going back to the earthquakes, sometimes I just crack myself up. I tell you to look from the 7th to 11th of August for a 7.5 or higher shaker and closer to an 8.0 or higher. Now remember, Mother Earth has not only just awoke from her very deep sleep. She has awoke from her very deep sleep. Excuse me. I told you it's getting hot in here. So therefore, things are about to get real, friends. Very, very real. Hang on tight. This roller coaster is about to go down another big hill and another big loop. Beautiful souls, I just want to take a moment to welcome you to the channel and back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Joseph Tittel, spiritual medium for over 3 decades, aka Spiritman JT. I welcome you with open air hugs. If you're new here and you want accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, great guided meditations, you want to vibe with this tribe, smash the subscribe, the bell and all so that you don't ever miss content. And know that I am here every Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on where on the planet you happen to reside. Always doing tea, just you and me. Thank you for also clicking that thumbs up love button too, friends. Helps the channel grow, helps our tribe to grow, and gets this content out to other people. Down below, you'll find the link to all my information, social media platforms, my newsletter, which is free. And some of you that were not getting the newsletter, you should have got it because I believe I fixed out the flaw. Yeah, I believe I did. So you should have got it. Remember to check your spam folders. And you can sign up by opening up that newsletter and just signing up at the top right corner, I believe it is. Might be the left corner. Also, you can find more information out about me directly on my website, josephtittel, Tittel.com, or spiritmanjt.com. Other than that, be aware of fraudsters on social media platforms that send you messages appearing to be me or other people, trying to claim to get whatever from you they can. That is not me. So please do report those profiles immediately, and let's move on. This is episode number 178 of Teatime. As I was saying earlier, friends, Mother Earth has finally awoke from her very deep sleep. Something I talked about many, many years ago. Her awakening is actually, believe it or not, it's a very good thing. Even though it might not appear to be the case for some folks, but it's a very good thing. Now remember, when Mother Earth awakens, the people begin to awaken on much higher levels. And friends, as I said, Mother Earth has awakened. Now, back in 2018, and it was actually just weeks after my first trip to Peru and working with ayahuasca, I channeled through a message directly from Mother Earth. And it was pretty wild, friends. She spoke directly to me. And I had a friend of mine do the voice of Mother Earth because I wanted the voice to be a female voice. Makes sense, right? I didn't think I had the right to do Mother Earth's voice. So it was August of 2018, practically almost exactly 7 years ago. And this was narrated by a friend of mine, Bridget Murphy, who does healing work. She does shamanic work. You can look her up on our website if you want more information about her. And it's Bridget Murphy, and it's spelled the old Celtic way, B-R-I-G-H-I-D. B-R-I-G-H-I-D Murphy.com. The sound in this video is not great. I tried to download it, and for some reason, my computer or YouTube just wouldn't allow it to download. I think it was my computer, actually. So I had to do a screenshot thing, and I feel, the sound isn't great. I could have chose different music, and I am going to do a redo of this and hopefully get even more information from Mother Earth. I hope to do that in the near future before I take a little holiday. So I feel this video now, because I haven't listened to it, friends, in 7 years probably. I feel now, listening to this and what Mother Earth had to say, rings so much louder than it did back in 2018. Give a listen.
Please tell the children who make my body their only home. My children, fear not my wrath, for only those who fear are those responsible for the cancerous diseases that have been brought upon my body and have awoken me from my deep sleep. And it is those whom cause this harm who must now suffer 10 times the suffering they have bestowed upon me and my children. They've known I would awaken in time and have even attempted to prepare for my coming by digging deeply into my body, the caverns in which they think they can hide. Now that I am awake, there will be no hiding. You will be found and yanked from your caverns. I shall show you all by pointing to their hiding places using my 4 elements. May the people also awaken from the deep sleep and the control of the masculine dark forces as I am awakening. Yes, my children, finally together, we shall identify the cancer-causing elements and clear them with my elements. May you stand together with your Mother Earth to take out those causes, and together you shall heal as I heal myself. Tell the children of the earth to embrace my energy, embrace the feminine goddess energy, and embrace love for one another and all of my creatures. Those who do not will no longer be welcome to live in my home. I ensure that all, when healing is complete, once again, both the feminine and masculine energies can flow together, once again in complete balance, like that of the dark and light. So together, we may celebrate for 1,000 years, living in balance and enjoying the beauty of life you've been handed by our divine creator for such a short time. Honor yourself, your sisters and brothers, all my creatures, and most importantly, honor your elders and honor me, your mother, Mother Earth.
Again, I haven't listened to that in probably 7 years since I first put it out, or right after I first put it out. And I actually forgot how actually beautiful that message truly is when you really take it to heart. Not to mention, did you listen closely to what she said, friends? Mother Earth said that she would point to areas where the darkness resides through her elements, earth, air, fire, water. So now we need to pay much closer attention when it comes to where some of these big earth events take place and are occurring, especially earthquakes. So Russia, is she pointing to Russia? Wouldn't surprise me. Turkey, was she pointing to them? No doubt. So speaking of which, on Friday, back on Friday's video, I stated that there would be another 7.0 or higher at the same location in Russia where that large quake hit about a week ago, on the 29th of July to be exact. And over the weekend there was, first they said it was a 7.0, but then they downgraded it to a 6.8. And she certainly ain't finished, friends. The volcano, she is not finished. And if you missed Friday's earthquake video, be sure to check it out, because I don't want to repeat everything I already just put in that last video. To make things even more concerning when it comes to the crazy heightened activity, and as far as the sleeping giant that just awoke, if you can recall, I think it might have been my channel predictions. I don't know how long ago it was, but I clearly do remember Spirit telling us that we were going to see dormant volcanoes become active once again. And we were also told that there would be 2 major volcanic eruptions, remember? And that would be a sign of the third one to come. Now, there are volcanic eruptions all the time. Right now, when I looked this morning, there were 44 volcanoes erupting across the earth. I don't know what the common number is. I don't follow volcanic eruptions as much. Maybe I need to start to do so. But I do know that what just happened in Russia, that's a dormant volcano. And I can't recall the exact timing of what Spirit said where this third one was going to take place after 2 were ignited. But that one in Russia was definitely one of them. And I think that Spirit might have said maybe 30 days. Within 30 days, the third would hit beneath the ocean. Maybe it was 90 days. So the third would hit and erupt under the sea is what Spirit said. And I pointed to the Pacific. And as you know, again, that giant did awaken in Russia after almost 500 years, friends. And look at the footage of the blast, which sent ash and debris more than 20,000 feet into the air. Also notice the large crack that formed with smoke and magma boiling from beneath. This actually coincides with a vision I had not that long ago of seeing the earth cracking, just like that, and also potentially causing some type of fires or even wildfires in the future. Now, our friends in Indonesia, another place that I warned multiple times, also had a massive eruption. Mount wait, let me get this right. I had it earlier. Lawatobi, the Lawatobi Laki Laki volcano. There we go. Lawatobi Laki Laki volcano blasted more than 57,000 feet. Friends, that's 11 miles or higher into the sky. Wild. And check out the lightning strikes all around this blast. Mother Earth sure does know how to put on a light show, friends, does she not? And there are many other eruptions, as I said, happening across the globe. Some are usual, that happen, like Kilauea is always erupting. Some not so common. And no doubt in my mind that Russian eruption, say that 3 times fast, was one of the ones that Spirit was pointing into. The waking giant number 1. So could Mount Lawatoba Laki Laki in Indonesia be the second eruption? Because that went even further, 67,000 feet in the sky. That's you can't tell me they didn't see that from outer space. Aliens probably were watching it like a movie. So I want to know, is that the one that was Spirit pointed to, the one in Indonesia? I know Russia's got to be one because that's the waking giant. That's the first one we've seen wake up in such a long period of time. If I'm wrong, please do. I'm sure someone would correct me in the comments. I have no doubt. Now, I want to know what you think again in the comments below. Is that the one in Indonesia? Russia's definitely one of them. Or are we still waiting for the second one to blow? And could that second one, because my feeling is that the second eruption would actually be on the opposite side of the globe. It's just my feeling. I'm no expert on that. Just go with my intuition, what the spirits tell me. My feeling, the opposite side of the globe from where Russia's eruption would either be, say, Alaska, from Alaska all the way down to South America, all the way down to Australia. So the whole west coast of, South America, even, North America, all the way down to Australia. And that's where I would expect the second blast to come in. And again, I could be wrong. Can't always be right. I could be wrong with where the location is. Because I know there's also that huge one that's erupting right now in Guatemala. And that started back in July. I don't know how long it's been since that one erupted, but that's a pretty massive eruption. If that is the case, then, friends, this all confirms right now that soon we're going to be seeing a huge rift beneath the Pacific Ocean. And it makes sense to where I pointed to and where that whole Russia volcano, where that's all happening right now. So I'm going to say that it might be Mount Spur that we're waiting for next. Mount Spur. I don't think it's going to be Mount Rainier. That's years off. But Mount Spur. And if not, something down in South America. I don't know the volcanoes down there very much. And Mount Spur would be an odd one to blow. And that would make even more sense. And that would be on the opposite side of the Pacific. And then down below would be where the third rift where the third eruption would happen, and a big rift. Pacific, of course, followed by large tsunamis. And this could happen again when Spirit said, I can't remember if it was within 30 days or within 90 days. And if we did that from the August 3rd eruption, then it would be September 2nd would be 30 days, or November 2nd would be 90 days within that window of time. And we all know it's coming, friends. The key question is really when. And I feel really, really, really soon. Very, very soon. I actually thought we would have saw it in July. So, can't always put a time period. But we did see the big quake in July, and we did see the tsunamis. Very little, but we did see them. So it wasn't all that off. And it happened at the very end of the month on the 29th, but it did happen. Definitely did happen. Now, the Pacific, when that blows, because it will, the second one's going to be beneath the Indian Ocean. I feel like the Pacific first, Indian Ocean second. And that one in the Indian Ocean, of course, is going to send tsunamis to many lands, India being the one hit the hardest from that. And I don't feel like that's coming first. I feel like that's later. And I believe that could actually be sometime in 2026. I don't know when. We're not going to look at 2026. Let's get through this year first. Now, I also stated in the video, and I don't know if it was that, excuse me, I don't remember if it was that last video from Friday or if it was a previous Teatime, but I mentioned New Jersey and New York would get a smaller quake, which they did. It was a little 3.0 in northern New Jersey, but it was felt by folks apparently in parts of New York City. And Spirit says to our friends over there to expect more. A small series of earthquakes hitting that area between New York and New Jersey. Nothing to be overly concerned about. So, no worries when you feel it. We also looked at the quake activity on Friday's video, where we saw staggering amount. I think it was 337, somewhere around there. 4.5 magnitude quakes or higher in the past 7 days. I showed you the whole map on Friday and how I always look at the past 7 days, 4.5 or higher. The usual amount during an uptick. When I say there's going to be an uptick, it's usually between 125 to 145. And, normal activity would usually always be below 100, like 75 to 85. Today, and back on Friday, it was around 337. And I was blown away by that. That was like almost triple of the normal uptick. Well, today, friends, Monday, when I'm filming this morning, it was at 497. I couldn't believe that. Almost 500. 4.5 magnitude quakes or higher. That is just, I've never seen it like that before. That is shocking activity. Spirit said an uptick. That was an understatement. That was like a super uptick. And it's not done yet. And I feel once we see at least two more major, I feel like we are going to see at least two more major 8.0 or higher quakes. And I feel in August, perhaps maybe early September. And things are going to die down just a little bit, probably mid to late September, just in time for, the stormy weather to come in, more floods and stuff to come wiping in. So mid to late September, and by late October into November, that activity, like we're seeing now, is going to heighten up once again. So just a little break in between, friends. Just a little break. Speaking of things heightening up, friends, the heat between Presidents Trump and Putin are definitely heating up, with these disturbing threats now of nuclear submarines being sent to Russia, and now our media is not telling us what Putin actually responded. He responded, "It's okay. We have more than the United States, and we're surrounding your country." So could that actually be true? I mean, this does come from a media source outside of the U.S. It's good to look at media sources outside the country, friends. Now, Trump's decision was apparently based on this comment posted on Telegram by Russia's former leader. The post stated that Russia has a dead hand, or a dead switch system, that unleashes nukes in the event that leadership falls. See, we know they want a regime change in Russia. That's probably why they said that. They know it too. It's kind of a notorious thing for the cabal to do, right? Go in and change the leaders. We see a whole pattern of that. So that's a brave statement from them, though, to say that, the Russians, and a bit creepy. Now, remember the vision I had of President Trump with the football in his hand? You know what the football is, right? That's what they call the nuclear suitcase with the nuke codes. I saw him standing in front of it. I saw it open. There was a guy next to him, and it appeared to be like last minute when I saw him shut the case. I didn't see in that vision him entering or pushing any buttons. Thank the Lord for that. That's not what not that it's going to happen, whether it happens or not, hopefully not. But in my vision, I did not see them push any buttons. It looked like a close call. Did you also hear that Trump warned about United States having technology that no one could fathom? No one. I spoke about that, friends. We all spoke about these technologies and the patents and the secret weapons, and one of them we're all familiar with now that we weren't before, and that's the DEWs, right? The directed energy ones. We know about them now. And we haven't actually, that we know of, seen them been used in warfare. But they had to have. They had to have used them. But are they going to use them on a larger scale? Now, Spirit also said that, a whistleblower is going... Well, we do remember the whistleblower that alerted us about the earthquake technology in the Arctic, right? Interesting enough, Tesla actually invented the earthquake machine. It's in Tesla's works. And that was how many, decades ago? Now imagine what they have now, right? Imagine what they have now. And that whistleblower alerted us to the earthquake technology. And soon I think we're going to find out about other secret technologies, because I feel without a doubt that we're going to see a whole bunch more whistleblowers stepping up. And even whistleblowers, of course, connected to the military. Something big, actually. Spirit just said that in my ear. Something big's coming out of the military. Something big, something out of the Pentagon, too. I can't remember that guy's name. You know, the one that transformed into transgender. It reminds me of that whole thing. Kind of reminds me of Edward Snowden a little bit. Something bigger than Edward Snowden. And that's what Spirit's saying now. I'm trying to get a timeline. Maybe November or early 2026, or in that window. I would expect something this month, too, in August. Lots of fireworks are going to occur at the Pentagon, says the Spirits. Thank you, Spirits. I love when you interrupt with some information. Now, I also spoke about the use of new weapons. You know, a while back, and we did see that happen when Russia used that new, long thing missile a while back. Except there's something more coming. And I actually feel it's going to be the United States that's going to be the one using it. Or using them, whatever them may be. Now, remember, Spirit did hint to the fact that the Arctic technology that we were just talking about would be used to bring a big earthquake to Russia. Could that be what just happened in Russia? Actually, I don't think so. I don't get that feeling. You know, there's all kinds of speculation that there was nuclear tests happening, Russia's. And the nuclear facility near there had damage. But that feels natural to me. That's Mother Earth waking up. You know, I know people want to blame everything on, the modification of the climate and the weather. And there's a lot of that happening. No, I'm not arguing with you there. I'm the one that showed you the patterns on it. But that felt natural. Now, to me, if they were going to use that technology to cause a major earthquake in Moscow, in Russia, it would be Moscow. Why would they do it on the edge? There was nothing really near there. They would want to hit somewhere direct. Moscow would be the direct. So don't be surprised if we see that in the coming weeks, that there's a huge earthquake that hits Moscow. And if and when there is, we know where it came from. That one would not be Mother Earth. That would not be natural. Now, things are also going to get more intense with the conflict over in Europe. Between Israel, or not Europe, but not just Europe. Excuse me, I don't know what's with my throat. Not just Europe, but also Middle East, between Israel, Syria, and Libya. And I remember in my past visions, huge refinery explosions, oil, gas fires. I even spoke about Ukraine hitting Russia in the near future, which they did over the past few days, friends. A hit by Ukraine on a major oil facility inside Russia, and caused this major explosion and fire, as you see here. Pretty intense. Not like Desert Storm, like I saw in visions I shared with you a week or two ago, thankfully. But that's coming too, unfortunately. This is also to steer us towards natural things instead of using and depending on oil and big gas. Now, I wanted to also mention something that I thought was really interesting here, friends, and that is the fact that Trump moved his date. Remember, he gave a deadline, 90 days for Putin to pull out of Ukraine or what have you, and that date would have been September 2nd. But now, all of a sudden, Trump changed the date. You know what date he chose, right? 8/8, the 8th of August. There goes that Lionsgate portal date again. Do you think that was intentional, friends? Do you think that was intentional? The date, that is. I want to know if you think that was intentional. I kind of do. Do tell us in the comments. And then, the attacks on oil in Russia are going to begin to worry other countries who rely on it, mostly China. And I feel very strongly that China will be one of the ones behind. They are, says Spirit, not will be. They are behind the scenes orchestrating something much bigger with Russia. And I can't quite put my finger on it. Likely something towards the United States directly. And it's in their backup plan or something, Spirit says. I can't quite put my finger on it. It might align to some of my past visions and predictions, actually. Likely some type of new military technology, perhaps, that China hands over to Russia. So let's just hold in the light more than anything that peace prevails in the future. It will, but we are in that window, friends. Remember, Spirit said 2025 to 2032, intense times and changes, the timeline split. Now, I also did see, if you recall, the use of a small tactical nuke in the past in visions. But I don't feel like we need to worry about a full blown out nuclear war. I don't feel like that's going to go down. Not at all. And it's going to be Mother Earth is going to be the one that shakes things up the greatest. She's going to be the one that not only shakes, she's going to shake to wake the people. Shake to wake the people and push us together in peace and unity. That's what's important. And if and when a tactical nuke is used, I would be willing to bet that it would be Israel that launches it somewhere in the Middle East. Perhaps Syria. As I saw in the past, and Spirit told us, Syria will burn. That would be a way for it to burn, would be through a nuke. And, we know that Israel wants that territory. And there's going to be much bigger attacks against Russia and Moscow directly in the very near future, in coming weeks. And there's also going to be much larger and greater fires and disasters around oil and gas, as I said before, pushing prices up higher and higher in many areas, as we saw in Angola. Angola, did I do that right? And I believe the biggest hit when it comes to hitting oil and gas and all that, it's going to be somewhere in the Middle East. And that's where it makes sense that Spirit would show me Desert Storm and remind me of Desert Storm. It would take me right back to the Middle East. And that would, of course, cause a major increase when it comes to gas and oil. And already, friends, we're already seeing big issues around fuel and fuel prices in certain areas. Again, Angola, where rioting over 33% increase in fuel costs, friends. That's ridiculous. A 33% increase caused major rioting. It led to many people perishing, more than 1,200 people arrested. And this is just the first sign, friends, of many more to come when it comes to big oil. Don't worry yourselves, though. Don't worry yourselves. New inventions are coming, friends. New inventions so that we no longer have to, be surprised at what's coming. Did you happen to see the young man who created this distillery gas station, taking plastics and old plastics and turning them into crude oil and then refining them into gasoline? Amazing young man. And this is what's happening with the younger generations. And wait till the little ones get older. The ones that are coming in now, they're the super magical children ones. And that's where they're going to create all this stuff so quickly that they're not going to be able to suppress it. And with social media, too many people want to know. This young man, his life was in danger. For a while there, people thought he went missing and, he was outed or Clintoned. He was Clintoned. But he wasn't, thankfully. He put out a message with his mom and said he went into hiding for a little while, just recently came out of that hiding. And for some time, people will talk greatly. That will be one that people will not accept if something happens to him. And we know they're watching him closely. He needs to share that invention across the world. Look at places like India, Bangladesh, plastic everywhere. Their rivers are just nothing but plastic. Imagine what they could do and all the fuel they could create with that if they created a big system. But big oil don't want you to do that. Of course they don't. Well, they're not going to be able to stop these things in the near future. Because in the near future, they are not going to be able to stop the influx of amazing inventions and amazing free energy that's coming our way. I warned our friends down there in South America and Chile of coming collapses of mines taking place. And they do sure seem to get a lot of them. And that's sadly, apparently, due to a comment. Now, I tried to find the story on this. I could not find a story on this. But somebody in the comments from Chile, I would imagine, said that there was a partial collapse of a copper mine in Chile, which luckily, I would imagine nobody was injured and everybody got out okay. But again, I couldn't seem to find a news story on the event at all. I looked. Now, Chile needs to be very mindful of incoming major earthquakes, especially up towards the border between Chile and Peru. Big, large earthquakes, potentially earthquakes that are going to trap miners in the near future. Wish they had some kind of warning to get out of there before these quakes came. Now, something has been brewing, of course, under our feet for quite some time now. Mother Earth is awakened, and she's about to push out a lot of truth from below our feet, friends, from below the surface. She's going to push it all. She's going to push that darkness. We're going to finally see it being pushed, or not even pushed. It's going to be forced to the surface. Remember my visions of seeing little ones being rescued from under the tunnels, from a large underground tunnel. They came out all dirty. Some of them couldn't see. They had dark sunglasses on to adjust their eyes. Then I saw also visions of video being released, and it looked like military in there doing video and releasing the video of what was under these tunnels. So we're still waiting for that to happen. Things being revealed from beneath our feet. We're still also, I want to remind you, in that accident-prone energy. This is going to be mixed with things beneath our feet. So therefore, we would likely see a lot of accidents and incidents when it comes to subways, accidents related to digging, if somebody's like digging. So if you're digging, be very, very mindful and cautious if you're digging something up. Like, for example, the first thing pops, somebody's digging and then they hit an electric wire or something. Not a good scenario. Now, also mining incidents or accidents and accidents around tunnels. So we may even see that vision I had in the past of a tunnel collapsing coming into fruition. Very possible during this next 4 to 6 weeks. Now, in the coming weeks, friends, I would tell you to think twice before doing anything that can threaten your safety or cause you any type of injury. As long as you're mindful, then all shall be well. All shall be well. As they say, don't do things that are less than smart, especially for the first time. This is not the window to be brave. Not at all. You'll end up getting hurt. Now, did you also happen to see the Fed governor, Adriana Kugler, the banking cartel, announced that she's going to be resigning? Remember, I talked about a lot of the resignations coming our way. But hers I find really interesting. The date she chose is what I found interesting, that she announced that she will resign on August 8th. If you're going to resign, why don't you just resign and leave? Why you wait until August 8th? I thought that was just weird. And I don't believe in the coincidence. The 8 vibration is all about money and finances. It's also the Lionsgate portal midpoint. No coincidence, friends. There's none. There's big, huge changes coming for the Fed. I'd like to see it collapse myself and the big bankers cartel go down. That's what I hold in the light. Hope you do too. And let's hope whatever they do and whatever changes with the Fed is something that's going to benefit us instead of continuing to rob us of everything like they've been doing to us and our grandparents and great-grandparents. Now, are you also aware of all the billionaires, CEOs, and former CEOs that perished so far this year? I wasn't, and I thought it was pretty staggering how many there are. And Spirit told us that leaders were going to go and that globalists would begin to drop. Klaus Schwab just popped in my mind. Could we be that lucky? Bill Gates, could we be that lucky? This is what Spirit warned us of. So check out some of these people. David Murdoch, who was the CEO of Dole, passed away. Lepreno Foods founder passed away on June 19th. Bernard Lauder, CEO millionaire, died on June 14th. Frederick Smith, CEO of FedEx, on June 21st. Burton Tansky, a billionaire, on March 16th. Robert Shapiro, another billionaire, on May 2nd. CEO of Hasbro, or the former CEO of Hasbro, so you know he's loaded. Alan Hassenfield, on July 8th, no longer with us. Wesley LePatner, Blackstone executive, passed in July. Junior Bridgman, billionaire, back in March. DoorDash executive, Josh Pickles, June 21st. Milestone CEO, June 2025. Jim Irsay, the CEO of the Indianapolis Colts, passed. And then also Epstein's lawyer, Roy Black, also passed. The fall of powerful people. Sounds about right, don't it, friends? I can't believe I wasn't aware of all those. I don't know if you are. I mean, not that I follow billionaires. And we hear more about celebrities than we hear about those people. And that's a lot of billionaires and leaders and millionaires that dropped, or CEOs that dropped just, in the past few months, most of them, in a very short amount of time. So who could be next, friends? We're going to continue to see some quite shocking leaders falling from power. And I actually feel that there's a change of power. Speaking of power and falling from power, I feel that there's a change of power coming when it comes to China. I think that'll be more in 2026. I also feel that there's going to be a leader, and I said this in the recent past, a leader that's going to pass away, and I believe that's going to happen by the end of August, I feel. Who could it be, friends? Who could it be now? I serenaded you. I want to know what you think in the comments down below, of course. Who could it be now? Who could it be? Moving on to the next subject. My neck has been itchy for 2 days now. I think there's something weird about that. Water is life, friends. Water is life. Speaking of water is life, I need a little drink of water right now. Fresh water right out of the mountain down the road, up the road. So water is life, friends, and we cannot survive without it. You know that. It's very powerful, and now we need to be concerned more than ever about these big billionaire corporations like Nestle buying up and stealing all our water, taking control and monopolizing it all, as they've been doing for how long now? I mean, when I was a kid, we didn't have bottled water. It didn't exist. You drank water out of the hose, actually, outside sometimes. Wouldn't do that now. There's so many chemicals in those hoses. Like, I remember I just bought a new hose, and it stunk for months. Every time you water along, I'm like, that smells like nasty chemicals. Gross. And we have good well water here, other than the fact that they do put chlorine in the tank, which I think is ridiculous. So I get my water from up the road. But we know about big corporations. We know about Nestle, and we know who just took over Klaus Schwab's spot in the WEF, the former CEO of Nestle. They want to monopolize the heck out of the water. Now Bill Gates is buying up all the water. Like, these people. The Bush family bought up one of the biggest aquifers in the world back, 10 years ago or so. Look that one up. And I talked about also seeing major issues when it came to water for folks in Puerto Rico. Well, over the past week, a state of emergency was declared in Puerto Rico, and the National Guard was deployed to assist in this very serious crisis. As if the folks in Puerto Rico haven't suffered enough already over the past few years. Power issues, now water issues, and soon we're going to actually start seeing people. They probably already are, but today I got this strong feeling that people are going to be leaving Puerto Rico. They're going to be leaving there and relocating to new places. Spirit said that's probably a good idea because they're going to get hit with big storms, not just in the near future, but over the next 4 to 5 years. That whole Caribbean area, that's just going to be pounded. Puerto Rico, Cuba. Yeah, so if you're getting that feeling to go, it might be a good idea to do so. Personally, I want to just get a cabin out in the middle of the woods. That's my dream right now. Yes, I love it here, but I just want to live in I don't want neighbors. I don't want people around me. I want chickens. I want a billy goat, and I want to name them Billy. And I want at least 4 dogs. And at least 2 acres of land. That's the goal, friends. That's the goal. In the mountains somewhere. I don't know where. Maybe northern Arizona. Not sure. It's a few years out. But if you're getting a feeling to go, friends, just manifest it. Hold it in the light. You don't need to figure it out. You just need to hold that vision. You hear my vision. My acres, living in my cabin. Little barn, little chickens. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? Gardening, huge, giant garden. Yes. Now, go where the waters are, friends. Wherever, if you're going somewhere, always make sure you go where the waters are plentiful. No matter what waters they are, because as long as you have the proper filtering equipment, emergency water filters that you can get, survival water filters, find a nearby source of water. Now, in case of an emergency. It could be a creek, it could be a river, a stream, whatever you can locate, as long as you got those correct filters to filter the water. And maybe just, you never know. It could save your life in the future if all of a sudden, you need to find water and the grocery store isn't open. And your sink isn't working because there's no power. Just a thought. I always start, personally, I start each month with 28 gallons of water on hand. Only because I go down the road and get it. Go up the road and get it. And then about every 4 weeks, I go and fill them. So, something to keep in mind, friends. Whenever we see disasters hit, it never fails that the first thing we see being trucked into these disaster areas is bottled water. All right? So, if everybody prepared, then it wouldn't be such an emergency. But that's how they always come first. They assist with bottles and cases of water. Now, in the future, when the timelines actually split and we shift into this higher consciousness, we're actually going to have systems that clear the salts from the ocean. That actually, they do have them now, but not like what we're going to have in the future. They're going to use little to no energy at all. They're going to do it much quicker, much more practical, and without any costs other than the cost to build them. So they'll run on themselves using the Earth's energy. And this is what's going to be completely different from what already exists. I know that Elon Musk did one somewhere in South Africa, maybe. But they're apparently very, very expensive to keep running. Not the ones in the future. There's so many things, friends, I can tell you to look forward to when it comes to the future of innovation, the future of how we get our water, how we treat our water, because water holds consciousness. We don't treat our water very nicely either. Well, I mean, at least corporations don't. So, water is life, friends. Water is life. A reminder, friends, that we are still in that very intense window of time when it comes to outages, electronics going haywire, breaking down on you, or you go buy something and their credit card machines are down, or you go to an ATM and it's not working. We're in that window. It's that Mercury retrograde influence and also cyber attacks. X platform had another huge outage. I spoke about social media outages. Facebook's likely going to be the next big target. And they'll tell us it's technical, but it'll be cyber attack related. And interesting, did you know about Tim Waltz? I think I just vomited in my own mouth. Remember that Ringling Brothers circus clown? Remember the Ringling Brothers? Yes, the clown, the best show on earth. So, Tim Waltz, the governor of Minnesota, happened to sign an executive order effective immediately to deploy the National Guard after the city of St. Paul experienced a cyber attack. Friends? You think the deep state are practicing their cyber attack on America? Remember, Klaus Schwab warned us. A powerful cyber attack will take out the world. Remember he told us that. And, we know Waltz is definitely part of the, deep staters. Or at least he's a deep stater puppet for sure. 100% puppet. I mean, most of them are. So, big cyber attack, and he sends out the National Guard. Are they practicing for future martial law, friends? Remember I showed you the illuminated cards and the illuminated card for, martial law in the United States? It would likely be under the Trump administration or when Vance takes over, which is going to be even worse. It's going to be really bad when he takes over. I'm just warning you. Hopefully that's a few years off still. 2027 was always my original prediction. I'll stick with that. Some people claim that the president may pass this month. President Trump. I don't know that he's going to have something with the heart. Well, we also know that three-lettered agency also has a heart attack machine or gun or something like that. Look it up. It actually does exist. It's a real thing. So, but I feel like he's supposed to be here to shake things up still for a little while. So they might try, but I still feel like he's here to shake things up. So now I also found it interesting, very interesting, how I found all this to be very interesting. The whole Waltz thing, the whole National Guard for a cyber attack. Hey, anybody there in that part of the globe near St. Paul, did you experience this? Were there National Guard on your streets? How did that work out? What was attacked? Because it didn't really say anything in the articles. It just talked about his executive order. It just sounded and felt to me very shady, like they're getting ready. They're using that little city as just a little test zone when they call out the troops. I hope I'm wrong. I found it to be interesting. I want to know what you think, of course, in the comments down below. I wanted to show you this quick clip of Jeremy Corbell. Do you know who he is? Are you familiar with this dude? I like him. I think he's pretty awesome. He's a bit of a whistleblower of truth when it comes to UFOs and extraterrestrial life and such. And he issued this warning a while back, friends. A while back. I want you to give a quick listen.
All indications, like all of them, is that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe.
He said it first, friends. And look at the viral news over the past week and a half. The interstellar object, we talked about it last week, heading towards the Earth. But, Jeremy said slowly. He understated. That was an understatement because this one apparently is moving very quickly towards the Earth. Didn't they say it was going to arrive in November? I've read that somewhere. I don't know how true that is. I didn't really go down that rabbit hole with the interstellar other than what I told you last week. I think they said November. It's supposed to arrive by November. How convenient, right? In time for the next big energy shift. Is that when they're going to do their fake alien attack? I don't know. The fact that the object could be very well orchestrated. The whole subject could be the interstellar thing I'm talking about. I don't mean to confuse you. Sometimes my ADHD confuses myself. The interstellar object could very well be just a very well orchestrated and fabricated story by the media and by the deep staters. Predictive programming, could be that. Just saying, I don't believe anything they tell us or anything they show us. Like the moon landing. I believe that, like I believe I have a hole that goes completely through my head. I just thought I'd mention that to you in the Jeremy thing. I just put that together, and it just seems like they're predictive programming us. Now you're seeing the more alien stuff show up on the internet, and we're going through that little phase again. So Spirit has been telling us for a long time to keep our eyes to the skies and that there would be new discoveries coming from the sky and the solar system. So it could be real. I'm not saying it's not. And even Jesus said that signs would appear in the heavens. And it certainly has been happening, friends. And November, the month of November is going to be huge. Huge event, a huge month when it comes to events revolved around UFOs, extraterrestrial life, discoveries of new objects flying towards the solar system or flying towards the Earth. We are definitely in some interesting times, friends, aren't we? Very interesting times. Another thing I wanted to mention is, sadly, there were several people unalived and many people wounded over the weekend in Los Angeles, California, at a music festival. They're saying, some media cracked me up, mass pow pow event. I don't know if I would call that mass. I mean, I wasn't there. Thank the Lord for that. But that's what they're all calling it, a mass pow pow in Los Angeles. Injures 6, unalives 2. This was at a music festival. What did I warn you all? Didn't I tell you if you're going out to outdoor music festivals to be extremely mindful that I see Pow Pow event taking place at a music festival and also at an outdoor fair or carnival. Thankfully, we haven't seen that come into play yet, but we definitely see this one. And the first time I saw and predicted a music festival Pow Pow occurred in Israel, back during that whole October 7th date, I believe it was. Sad indeed. And sad in prayers to the people affected directly by this sad incident that took place at a music festival where people were supposed to be having fun and celebrating. Music is about happiness and joy. These people and their bad energy and bad low vibrations. You're living in a low vibration. You better get into a high vibration. What was the other one I'm trying to find here for you? About that bacteria outbreak. Could have sworn I saved it here, but I guess I didn't. Wait, hold on. I'm going to find it. This is not letting me open up what I want to open up. This is very bizarre. Get out of there. We're going to have to unplug this. Oh, boom. So weird, does that? Yeah, I don't have it here. Guess I closed it. but it was a bacteria, a flesh-eating disease thing happening in Louisiana, I think Florida. Going back to the disease outbreaks, I just kind of wanted to mention that. And then I also wanted to go in here and answer just a few questions from the comment section. And if you have a question in the comment section, you must always start with the capital letter Q dash your question. One question and only one question. But if you don't put it in that order, I'm not going to say it, and it's not going to get answered. Let's see. When famous people die, are they no longer famous in heaven? Like Hulk Hogan passing. Does my brother get to say hello, or is he still distant and famous? Thank you, Joseph, for everything you do. Michelle. They are not famous on the other side like they are here, because you must remember that we lived so many lives on this planet Earth, friends. All of us. We've been doing this for a heck of a long time. I know many of my past lives. I'm certified in past life regression, hypnotherapy, and once in a while I do a past life regression workshop. It's amazing. I highly recommend past life regression. I don't mean some psychic telling you were Cleopatra. No. I mean going through it and actually witnessing it through deep hypnosis. It's amazing. So we're not the same. Apparently I was famous in several of my past lives. I was the Egyptian high priest of the Temple of Anubis during the reign of Ramses II, which is a very high political position in ancient Egypt, the highest next to the pharaohs. Doesn't matter now. Joseph Tittel, that's who I am now. So no, we're not famous. We're not the same over there. We first cross over with that. Yes, we keep all those traits. All those lessons are a part of our soul. That's what the soul's about. It's your computer chip. So it's still there. And, you can meet people over there, I would imagine, and they would come to you as the Hulk or as Ozzy, if you knew them from this life as that. But now, if you also knew them from other lives, you would instantly know. You would instantly know all your connections with each other, all the lives that you lived together. And at this point on humanity, I feel like all of us have come in direct contact with one another in one life or another. And there you have it. That's a good question, though. We are not famous. The only famous one in heaven is the divine creator. Does your spirit, your soul, know when you are going to leave this realm? Another good question, Terry. A lot of people know that they're going to pass. Interesting. And sometimes it's subconsciously and not consciously. Some people consciously say, I'm out, love you all, and go to bed and never wake up again. Then there's others that do weird things. Like my mom told me all this. We had this weird conversation. She was fine 2 days before she died. I want to make sure that you know that I want to be cremated and I want this done and that done. And I was like, why the hell are you talking like that? Oh, because you're the only one of my kids that will do what I ask. I'm like, well, you're not going anywhere. 2 days later, she was gone. And then I didn't realize it till afterwards that she knew. Subconsciously, not consciously. My grandfather, on my mom's side, went around and made peace with people that he hasn't talked to or maybe had some kind of frictions with in the past. Went around, and I remember my aunt calling my mama and saying, Daddy's acting weird and he's going and visiting all these people. And then he passed. So yeah, it's a conscious, some people consciously, definitely subconsciously, because it is written in our soul contracts. So anything written in our soul contracts is written in our soul, and we have access to that information. Spirit showed me exit points in my life. And thankfully, I got past those exit points. But I saw a vision of my own funeral. I said, oh, hell no, I don't want that to happen. Not by then. And thankfully, I made whatever changes needed to happen, and it didn't happen. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's a complex world that we live in. Someone was asking me if I see Mamdani winning the New York race. I don't know who that is. Is that the Muslim guy? If so, then, yeah, he probably will win. Because, that's what they're pushing everywhere. I just saw a video this morning. They were in London, and they were all doing their Muslim prayer on the streets of London. Hey, I have no problem with people's religion, but you don't need to be doing that in public like that. No. Do you know about Dearborn, Michigan? And they rip down gay flags and such. I got a problem with them, too. Practice, but don't preach. I have nothing against what people practice, their faith. But don't be knocking on my door and don't be preaching your crap to other people. Just leave it to yourself. Spirituality is where it's going, friends. Religion's going to collapse. It already is collapsing. We saw it. We see it. Look at the church and how the church and the Vatican over the past decade and all the creepiness around the priests. That's the falling of these religions. And, some religions want to take over the world. I was just also seeing a report where, like 54% of, what was it, Ireland? 55% of Ireland are now immigrants and only 45% Irish. They were showing, I think London was 55% all, immigrants and the rest native. So, and those immigrants are mostly all the Muslim people bringing their faith here and pushing it down other people's throats. Not all of them, and we don't speak for all, of course. Never speak for all. Because there are good people in all faiths and religions. But spirituality is where things are going. We see that awakening happening. And spirituality is basically connecting like the native people did and the Hopi people. Connecting back to the roots of Mother Earth and the roots of the Holy Spirit and the divine creator. That's where we need to go. The Hopi said that long ago. Humanity has lost touch with the connection to Earth. And therefore they walk around like zombies now. And they truly do. They really, truly do. Someone's asking about how long people that have been jabbed continue to suffer from turbo, cancers, etc. and pass. Well, that's something I can't even talk about on here, unfortunately. So I'm just going to have to skip that. Can't say anything about that. In Canada province, send transfer payments to the federal government. The Fed transfers the funds that have not province. Quebec gets the bulk of it and determines the votes for the federal government gets in. I am hoping they will get audited, as it is known that they are getting the bulk of the transfer payments, mostly from Alberta. Will there be an audit in the transfer systems? Even if there is an audit, they're still going to sleazy away with it. So much corruption happening up there. I mean, everywhere, but there's a lot of stuff happening up there in Canada, corruption. So, not yet. But you can hold that in the light and together unite with others and you can make that happen. That is the key. Remember, Spirit told us that. The key is to unite with one another, with like-minded people. Like-minded people. Someone, Joseph, I found your channeled blog. Great event is coming. A great shaking to the earth and humanity. Prediction. February 5th, 2024. I'll have to put them together. I forgot that they were there. The other one is do you think Christchurch, New Zealand will have another huge earthquake again soon? And do you think the hidden continent of Zealandia, never heard of that New Zealand is on top of will rise out of the ocean? I do not, to that other second part. Neither, both, no. No, apparently, according to that whistleblower that I talked about earlier with the technology that's in the Arctic, said that when they first tested it out, it caused the Christchurch, New Zealand earthquake. He said that. So that wasn't natural. And I'm not getting that vibe that you need to worry. Nothing's going to rise. No Zealandia. Not there. And right above Australia is where I saw islands that were going to sink. So, no worries. And other than that, friends, I got to leave you with that because it's late here and I need to go edit all this. It's now 9 o'clock at night and I can't believe time flies when we're having fun. I will be working on a prediction video that will go out by the latter part of this week, so keep an eye out for that. And then I will also see you again next Tuesday before I unplug from everything and everyone for a little while. Looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you again in the near future. Until then, friends, and until the next time, remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste and much love, friends. Much love.